It wasn't one argument. It was the moment trust broke. For years, the public saw Brooklyn Beckham as the oldest son in one of the most carefully managed families in modern celebrity culture. Every photo looked coordinated. Every appearance felt polished. Every headline reinforced the image of unity. But according to people close to the situation, what finally happened wasn't sudden. It was the result of something slowly collapsing behind the scenes. According to sources familiar with the situation, the real breaking point came just days before Brooklyn released his public statement. What changed wasn't a single disagreement, but what insiders describe as a complete breakdown in trust. From Brooklyn and his wife Nicola Peltz's perspective, private efforts to repair the relationship had gone on for years. There were attempts to talk things through, attempts to meet, attempts to clear misunderstandings quietly, away from the public eye. But those efforts, sources say, stopped feeling genuine. What reportedly pushed things past repair was frustration with ongoing media narratives. Stories continued to surface that Brooklyn and Nicola believed were inaccurate or misleading, and instead of feeling protected by family, they felt exposed by it. At that point, insiders say, the conflict stopped being about hurt feelings and became about control. Those close to the couple described the situation as a power struggle, not just between parents and a son, but between two influential families with very different ideas of boundaries, image, and privacy. And after months of escalation, Brooklyn and Nicola allegedly reached a point where they no longer wanted to participate at all. Then came the statement. When Brooklyn posted that he did not want to reconcile with his family, it marked a clear shift. He framed the decision not as rebellion, but as self-definition. In his words, this was the first time he felt he was standing up for himself rather than allowing others to shape the story of his life. He accused his parents of controlling narratives in the press and presenting a version of family unity that no longer reflected reality. He also pushed back strongly against a recurring public claim that his wife controls him. Instead, Brooklyn asserted that he felt controlled for most of his life growing up, and that stepping away from his family had actually reduced the anxiety he carried for years. That detail, for many observers, reframed the conflict from celebrity drama into something more personal and psychological. The statement didn't stop there. Brooklyn alleged that his parents interfered in his relationship with Nicola, including moments tied to their wedding. He claimed that a planned wedding dress design was canceled at the last minute, forcing Nicola to find an alternative under pressure. He also reiterated an incident previously reported, where Victoria Beckham was said to have taken over the couple's first dance, a moment Brooklyn described as deeply uncomfortable and humiliating. In response, Brooklyn and Nicola later renewed their vows in a private ceremony, an act they described as reclaiming a memory that had become emotionally complicated. To them, it wasn't about rewriting history, but about creating a moment untouched by outside expectations. Brooklyn also addressed claims that his family prioritizes image and endorsements above genuine connection. He said he had shown up consistently to fashion shows, events, and press moments to help present a perfect family image, even when it didn't match how he felt privately. Over time, he suggested that emotional disconnect became unbearable. What stands out most in his message is not anger, but finality. He didn't threaten. He didn't demand apologies. He simply stated that he and his wife want a life shaped by peace, privacy, and emotional safety, not press cycles or public performance. Meanwhile, representatives for David and Victoria Beckham have not publicly responded to the claims. Sources close to them have previously indicated they still hope for reconciliation, believing time and distance could eventually heal the rift. But according to those close to Brooklyn, the decision to cut contact, even limiting communication to legal channels, suggests this was not a pause, but a boundary. This isn't the first time rumors of tension have followed the family. Reports of strain date back to Brooklyn and Nicola's wedding in 2022, gradually intensifying over the years. What's different now is that the conflict has moved from whispers to declarations. And at the center of it all is a question that goes far beyond celebrity. When does loyalty to family end and self-preservation begin? Because once trust is gone, even love struggles to find its way back. What makes this moment different from previous reports is not just the timing, but the tone. according to sources. Cited in multiple outlets, this was not an impulsive reaction or a single argument that spiraled out of control. It was the result of a long accumulation of unresolved issues that had quietly intensified behind closed doors. For years, Brooklyn and Nicola are said to have attempted to address their concerns privately, hoping to protect the family bond while setting healthier boundaries. Those efforts, however, reportedly began to feel one-sided. Insiders claim that every attempt to clarify misunderstandings or correct narratives was followed by new headlines that painted a very different picture. From Brooklyn's perspective, the problem was not disagreement itself, but the feeling that trust no longer existed, especially when private family matters repeatedly appeared in the public domain. The situation became even more complicated because of the unique dynamic between two globally recognized families. On one side were David and Victoria Beckham, whose public image has been carefully built over decades. On the other was Nicola Peltz, coming from a powerful and media-savvy family of her own. Sources suggest that what may have started as a personal family conflict slowly evolved into a struggle over control, messaging, and public perception. Wedding-related tensions are often cited as a major turning point. While weddings are emotional milestones for any family, the level of attention surrounding Brooklyn and Nicola's ceremony amplified every decision and disagreement. Publicly reported claims about dress changes, scheduling conflicts, and moments during the reception became symbolic of deeper issues, not because of their scale, but because of what they represented to those involved. Brooklyn's later statements indicate that these moments left a lasting emotional impact. He is described feeling unheard and uncomfortable, particularly when private experiences were later discussed publicly without his consent. Whether all details are accurate or not, what matters for understanding the story is how these experiences were perceived by him at the time. Another layer to the conflict involves Brooklyn's identity outside of his famous surname. According to his own words, disagreements over branding, name rights, and career independence created further distance. For someone who grew up under intense public attention, establishing autonomy appears to have been a deeply personal goal, and one that reportedly came with emotional cost. As tensions escalated, communication allegedly narrowed. Reports suggest that direct conversations became increasingly difficult, eventually giving way to messages conveyed through intermediaries. While this does not necessarily signal a permanent separation, it does highlight how strained the relationship had become by that point. What stands out is that none of this unfolded overnight. It was a slow breakdown shaped by miscommunication, expectations, and the pressure of living life under constant observation. Brooklyn's public message did not introduce a new conflict. It exposed one that had already been there for years. And that raises the question many observers are now asking. When family relationships fracture in the spotlight, is reconciliation harder or simply more private?